LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
He hasn't even played a full rookie season yet. He just started this year. Why are you going to give this kid a $210 million on paper when he's only been a rookie at 21 years old, okay? Nobody in the history of the game has done that before, has just showed up, Johnny Go Blank Yourself, has showed up at 21 years old and got $200 and some million and hasn't even played a full rookie season in the majors yet.
Drew, come on, he's an all-star. He made it to the final round of the home run derby. I mean, like, statistically speaking, he is one of the best rookies that has ever stepped foot on a baseball field.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
Joey Raymond
and Drew Willingham.
Hello, everyone. We are live with episode 70 of the In or Out Sports Debate. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's special returning guests, along with new guests. And that returning guest is 10-time Vault of Fame inductee, Virginia Tech alumni, and one of my Geek Squad brethren. Give it up for Joey Raymond. Welcome back to the show there, brother.
What's up, dog? How you doing?
I know you're not flexing like that with a Patriots shirt on right now. Come on, brother. Like, what is going on up in my show right now? But hey,
dude, it's been wild since the get out of the green room. Like, it's been nuts. It's gonna be a fun episode. I have good feelings about today.
Definitely will. And with that being said, let's go ahead and introduce today's all-new special guest panelist. At this time, please welcome our guest panelist for today's show. Current veteran defensive back for the Fayetteville Mustangs of the National Arena Football League. A 2018 Midwest Professional Indoor Football League champion. A man with over 60 collegiate tackles and was selected as a first defense All-American. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Antonio Penn. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Antonio Penn, welcome here, brother.
Hey, I appreciate the welcome, Drew. Joey.
What's up, Antonio?
Hey, to the Trios edition, what do you guys say about my man's background right there?
Whose? Antonio?
Yours. Yeah, Antonio, what do you guys say about that?
Oh, man. I don't know. I feel like he didn't know what he's doing. He just threw some stuff up there.
I mean, you're right, though. You're right.
I feel like that's not focused on just one team. You just picked out a flea market and just threw it up there, man.
Joey, is that Hot Wheels up there too?
Yeah, I do have Hot Wheels up here, but like all the bobbleheads, I actually got at their like respective teams for the most part. There's only a couple that came from like there's like random bobblehead nights that like I didn't get like they didn't belong to the team that I was going to. But for the most part, every single one of these guys I got at their respective home stadiums, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, man. I give him a shout out for you. I love the dedication.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, because I remember back when me and Antonio were hanging out on a regular basis, like he would ask me all the time. He'd be like, "Dude, I saw that you were like in like Atlanta yesterday. Like, how'd you even have time to get down there and come back?"
It's kind of like how grandmas used to collect spoons everywhere they went, like to all the different states. That's what Joey did with the background, and it's awesome. I mean, I gotta give him a shout out for it. So, I mean, you can definitely tell that he put some time into that unit right there. But guys, we are here for episode 70 of the In or Out Sports Debate, a show where we have 5 topics, 5 rounds, whether we're in or out. We give a description of why and debate on it if we disagree. And with that being said, we got to acknowledge the past participants in the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me. man, you took me back. This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man Drew Willingham, because this has got to be one of the most fun things I've ever done in a long time.
And guys, that right there is the new Vault of Fame with Joey's Christmas sweater he had on right there at the end of it. Got to give a little bit of love right there for the Christmas sweater. You can find these episodes on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and as well as LegacyMakerSports.com for the latest. The handles for the In or Out Sports Debate are also at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms on Apple and Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download them individually on iTunes. You can also find SIRTOBA Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the new YouTube channel coming soon, and the latest on SIRTOBA.com. We are here for episode 70. Joey Raymond is back along with Antonio Penn. And with Antonio's football expertise and everything, we would definitely want to touch into a lot of football in this episode. And with that being said, let's go ahead and take it into round one and talk about a little bit of collegiate football.
Round one.
And guys, here with round one, Deion Sanders will make Colorado a perennial powerhouse. Joey, we'll start this one with you. Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm in. So today's college landscape is primarily about recruiting. The best coaches do the most in that space. And I feel like Deion Sanders just alone brings so much in the recruiting aspect that he's going to be able to get really good, talented players as long as, he gets coaches that have a lot of experience around him, which right now he does with Charles Kelly and Sean Lewis as his offensive and defensive coordinators. Charles Kelly coming from Alabama, and then Sean Lewis, who, was a head coach himself. I mean, those guys are going to be able to lend a lot of expertise towards what he's trying to accomplish. And I think Deion truly knows how to coach himself. So I do believe that they are going to be a really good football team who's going to compete for a championship in their division every single year, year in and year out, as long as Deion's the head coach there.
How do you feel about this one, Antonio? Do you agree? Are you in or are you out on this one?
Oh, I'm definitely in. And like, just to go on what Joey said, we're talking about primetime Deion Sanders, and just looking at what he did at Jackson State. I mean, it's simple. I mean, you think he's maybe a month now as being officially the head coach of Colorado, and they already ranked 22nd nationally, and he has a number 3 recruiting class in the Pac-12, and it's prime time. And Joey, one thing I disagree with, kind of borderline, is the coaching staff around him. Guys ain't gonna go there for the coaching staff around. They're gonna go just because it's prime time, what he's done, the career he had, and his resources. A lot of people think it's all recruiting, but when a coach is like prime time and you have those resources, they're going to go there because they know they're going to get the ins and outs of what it's going to take to be a professional and put them in the best position to be seen to get to that next level for sure.
Yeah, I think more specifically with that, I guess I was kind of misworded it, but like more so, like I think the act of him being a perennial powerhouse, if he gets coaches that have expertise, then it's not even a question. He's going to be a perennial powerhouse because of everything that you just said. Plus, if he adds more to that by getting coaches that have a lot of expertise, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be a perennial powerhouse.
I kind of like how you both agreed at the same time disagree. Like you agree to disagree. And with that being said, we're going to unanimously agree and somewhat disagree. Welcome to round one, fellas. And with that being said, when it comes to primetime Deion Sanders, I'm leaning both ways a little bit with this because even though we all agree with this, like I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Joey with the whole he brings a perennial powerhouse and the fact of the flash. Because when you see like the Well-Off Media. If you subscribe to the Well-Off Media on YouTube, which is his son's channel or whatnot, and the other channels that cover Deion, then you see like the Lambos and the Porsches and all that for Media Day and what they're doing to bring and recruit in all these top national athletes to bring in. Colorado is going to be scary. Not going to say they're going to be in the top 4 or but they will be in the top 12. And they're going to work their way towards the top 4. It might take 2 to 3 years, but we may be seeing primetime Deion Sanders as a national champion head coach here soon.
I could see it, especially with the college football playoff expansion.
Hey, I'm saying I can see it. It might be the first year. I mean, as the amount of players he got coming from Jackson State with him.
But do you think his son? Do you think his son is a national champion quarterback? That's the question, because you can have great talent around you, but you're putting your kid at center stage as quarterback. You think that he's a national champion quarterback that can lead them through the 12 up to the Final Four and then into the national championship game, let alone through everything else I just said?
I think so. Just by what he's shown at Jackson State, regardless of the competition he's playing against, we're still talking about people who have to go through a recruiting process, whose resumes still have to be checked off before, they're offered scholarships and brought in to, be a starter at a program. And for him to put up the numbers he did and not be in the Heisman, candidate race, just because he's at an HBCU, that tells you there that obviously he's clearly ready. And, he go to SEC, ACC, anywhere, he's going to light it up. Because what do? As soon as he announced he's at Colorado, now all the polls, all the scripts and the pages, they got him listed as the number 1 candidate to win the Heisman. So I think he's more than ready, and I think he'll show it.
Yeah, I feel like his son has been living in the spotlight his entire life. I mean, his dad is Deion Sanders. So I don't think that him being in the spotlight is going to affect his play at all. I think if anybody's ready for the spotlight, it's his son.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how things pan out there in Colorado, but we all unanimously pick that they're going to definitely become a perennial powerhouse with Deion Sanders being there. So it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out over the next few years with that team. With that being said, let's hit this in the NFL and see what we got to talk about with some NFL action.
Round 2.
And here with round 2, the New Orleans Saints rookie wide receiver Chris Olave would have been Rookie of the Year if he didn't miss 2 games due to injury. How do you feel about this one, Antonio? We'll start with you. Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm out. And I'm going to tell you why I'm out. I'm out because it doesn't matter that he missed 2 games. Chris Olave will still get offensive rookie of the year. And because if we're going off statistics, he missed 2 games. In those 2 games, he had 28 less targets than Garrett Wilson, who is number 1 with in receiving yards. They both had finished with 4 touchdowns. But Chris Olave, he caught 60% of his passes to Garrett Wilson's 56%. So I'm going Chris Olave still, takes that title of Offensive Rookie of the Year.
It's going to be interesting to see what you guys say of this one, Joey. Do you disagree with him or are you in? Are you in, you disagree, or are you out?
Oh, man, this one, I went back and forth for a while. But I think just because of the way that the NFL is set up now, I'm going to go in. And the reason I'm saying that is because the way that the voters I've noticed over the past couple of years is they are really kind of heavy more towards running backs and quarterbacks in this category. They tend to kind of shy away from wide receivers. However, I believe that if he would have stayed healthy and would have just put up even more gaudy stats than what he already has, I mean, it's insane. I mean, literally his lowest yard total on the year was 40. He has a total of 142 yards off of 70 and has 72 catches off of 119 targets, of which 48 of those went for first downs. I mean, that dude can ball out, but I think strictly just because of the fact that he missed those 2 games, I think the voters are going to discredit his stats, and I don't think that they're going to give it to him. I would love to see him win Rookie of the Year because I believe that he deserves it. I absolutely do. I just don't think that they're going to give it to him strictly just because of the fact that he missed a couple games.
Joseph, for the first time in episode 70, you are my arch nemesis. I agree with Antonio. I'm out as well. Dude, Antonio brought up some great stats for this. And when you think about Kenneth Walker III, out of any running back in this list for rookies, he's probably towards the top as he has 1050 in rushing yards this season with 9 touchdowns. And he's been on fire, like absolutely on fire over the past 3 weeks. When you really look at Walker's stats, I mean, he's finished up with 354 yards in the last 3 games, 4.5 yards rushing per attempt in those final 3 games. But when you look at Chris Olave's stats, he missed 2 games, still had only 61 less receiving yards than the next receiver being in Garrett Wilson. So that's why I got to give it up to Antonio on this one. I feel like that even though he missed 2 games, you might as well, if you're going to give it to anybody else, give it to Brock Purdy. But I feel like that team is what carried Brock Purdy to what he is right now. And as far as in the top 5 of Rookie of the Year, he didn't even play but half the season. So when you look at everything, Chris Olave only missed 2 games and didn't play only just a half the season. And look at what he's done. Garrett Wilson has had a great season at 1,103 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. But you look at Olave, who's had the same amount of 4 touchdowns, but only 61 less yards and 2 less games. Just think about what he could have done. He could have had 1,200 yards had he played in those other 2 games. So that's why I got to give it to him.
For sure.
So, guys, we've definitely covered these 2 rounds. Joseph was our arch nemesis there, Antonio, so we got to see how things will pan out throughout the rest of this show. But with that being said, we do have some breaking news we got to cover right quick. And that breaking news is this. To go along with the tomorrow edition of the episode 71 with Rob Johnson this Sunday, episode 72 is happening with the Snowman. He will be here at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. We'll talk a little recap of the NFL first week of the playoffs and the wild card round. The Snowman will be here for episode 72 Sunday, 8:05 p.m. Eastern on the In or Out Sports Debate. And with that being said, let's go ahead and take this into the next round, see what we've got for round 3.
Round 3.
And guys, here with round 3, Jim Harbaugh is the best coach available this offseason. We'll start this one with Joey. How do you feel about this one? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I'm out. So out of all the coaches that have interviewed for NFL jobs, the one that I like the most is Sean Payton. I think that consistently he has shown to be one of the best play callers, one of the most consistent coaches out there, and genuinely just an offensive guru. I would love to see him go somewhere, where he could really – develop a young team and really kind of get back into, coaching a perennial powerhouse like the Saints were when he was, the coach of the Saints. Jim Harbaugh has officially interviewed for the Denver Broncos job and the Carolina Panthers job. And so I just feel like out of all the coaches that could fit in those 2 spots, I feel like Sean Payton would be a better fit for both of those squads, especially the Broncos job, because I feel like if there is any human on the face of the earth that could fix what is going on with Russell Wilson, it would be Sean Payton. You got to think about what he did with Drew Brees. I genuinely feel like Sean Payton is just a better fit for any NFL squad out there that would want him. Not to discredit Jim Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach, but I don't think he's the best coach available.
Talking down a guy who's already taken a team to the Super Bowl, there goes Joseph. How do you feel about this one, Antonio? Do you agree? Are you out or are you in on this one?
I'm out as well, man. And I 100% agree with Joey, but being a Saints fan, not being biased either, Sean Payton just needs to come back home. But most of all, if it's not Sean Payton, for me, there's a tie because I'm looking at all scenarios and what, the coach can do for a team. And I would say Lovie Smith, now that, he's been put out from Houston, just because what he did with their program over the course of this year. I mean, yeah, they only won 3 games, but in every game where they played a playoff contender, the teams we see now that are in the playoffs, they were in close games. They lost by no more than 10. They led for a good amount of time during the game. So, and Lovie Smith, he's been there. He's been to the big games. He didn't win them 3 times. He didn't win them, but still he knows the concepts to get there. He knows how to mold a defense. A lot of these teams are in their younger stages this year. As you can see, the rosters are really young on a lot of teams that are looking for new head coaches. And if it ain't Sean Payton, my money is on Lovie Smith for sure.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how things pan out this offseason with the head coaches. But for different reasons, I'm unanimously out with this as well. Jim Harbaugh did help lead the 49ers to the Super Bowl, okay? So I got to give him a little bit of credit there. But when it comes to the available head coaches, one surprise coach that I've got as one of my sleeper coaches, that would have to be Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, because look at what the Lions have done this year. A part of the NFC North getting there. You've got teams like the Packers that got eliminated yesterday. The Vikings have been exposed all year long in those 4 losses that they have. I don't feel like they're a perennial contender in the NFC playoffs. Not saying the Lions are going to the Super Bowl or anything, but just to look at where the Lions were at. Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, done great things there. You can't discredit Eric Bieniemy there in Kansas City. But talking about that with Snowman here on Sports Sensates Unleashed earlier today, I feel like Eric Bieniemy is pretty much waiting out that Kansas City job because Andy Reid's getting older. There's only but so much time Andy Reid's going to be a head coach in Kansas City. He's probably waiting it out because he feels like he's got a good chance to inherit a really good team with the quarterback they've signed for a very long time there in Kansas City, who's going to be good for a very long time as well if he keeps taking care of himself. So there's a lot of great perennial coaches out there. You talk about Dan Quinn, who's the defensive coordinator there in Dallas. Then you've also got Leslie Frazier, with the Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator as well. So when you put all these names out there, I know you said Lovie Smith there, Antonio, but I feel like these other names that I mentioned have a better chance of becoming a great coaching hire over this offseason than Lovie Smith because we've already seen what he can do in Chicago. We've already seen the dumpster fire that was in Houston, even though I don't put a lot of that pressure on him. The Houston massagers put it on themselves. So when you put it all in perspective there, you just got to look at it as it is what it is. I can't fault the man. Hey, he stuck it to him yesterday. They probably want to get that loss to get that number 1 overall draft pick. And Lovie said, I'm going to take this unit and get us a win. And they did.
That's true. I agree because I think more so that's how the league is moving nowadays anyways, is more of regardless of if you won 4 Super Bowls and you've been fired, they're really going to go after and try to give opportunities to, these coaches who ain't held that role. So I definitely agree, but definitely a good point with the Lions OC because he really did turn that offense around. Like that offense looked, better moving the ball when they had Calvin. Like they were really, we talk about the first game of the season, they came out lighting the scoreboard up against the Eagles, and they had a great defense at that time. But so I definitely agree with you saying. I can see what you're saying, but for sure, I think just for my favorite, Sean Payton, Lovie Smith, but in the eyes of the league and how they're going to evaluate coaches, I definitely believe there's other candidates that'll, get that first look first.
Absolutely. I just look at how they trashed Jared Goff for the past few years. Like, they didn't want him in L.A. They dumped him for Matt Stafford. They bought their Super Bowl last year, and I think it's going to set them back about 5 years after what happened with all those draft picks. But Jared Goff looking better than Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield and a good half of the league as well with Geno Smith. What is going on in the NFL in 2022 when you got Geno Smith and Jared Goff at the top tier list of top 15 quarterbacks in the league? What is going on, guys?
Yeah, man, they're eating their Wheaties. I tell you, I don't know. Ben. I think like with Geno's just, I don't know, man. I think it's just his calling. He even sat behind a lot of good players, sitting there just learning systems and probably better in his game. But, like he said in his first interview out there, his first starting game back, everybody wrote him off just, because they just basing him off of his West Virginia days. But you have to remember, he did get drafted by the Jets. Like you name me somebody who went to the Jets, drafted, and was highly successful right out the gate as a quarterback. Nobody. So I think, it's crazy. It's the year of the no names, because at every position you have the no names that are excelling the most. And that's what I love, because, me being a current free agent, it's always us is overlooked. But then when they, they put you in the game, then it's the ones that shine, and they're just like, where's this kid been? No, where have your eyes been? Because, all these guys are there for a reason. They just have to get that opportunity to show it.
Hey, you keep making highlights like the ones we played in this intro clip. I don't doubt that you won't get that opportunity, man. Like, 'cause it's coming, man. Like some of those hits, I could feel that when I was editing it. Like it was great. So it was awesome. So congrats to you for. Not many people can say that they've been on the path that you have been, and blessed us to be in the opportunity to even continue to be playing at the age that you are. So you got a dream, you keep on making it happen. And there's those of us like me and Joey out there rooting for you and got the little highlights to prove it. So if you could take a clip from this show and it boosts into your highlights and they see that too, you're good with the media too. Hey, who knows, man? So we'll see.
Open some doors, I appreciate it for sure.
Anytime, man. Anytime. So, we've definitely touched a good subject here with the head coaching here for round 3. Guys, we got a decent amount of comments from the fans. Let's go ahead and take it to the midway point of the show. But before we do that, I do want to take a look at a promo that we have for a show that we have on Mondays at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. Guys, that right there is a Sports Senseis Unleashed. You can find Mondays at 1:05 p.m. Eastern. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take this into the comments from the fans, see what you guys have to say here at the midway point of the show. Fans, keep those comments going as we'll acknowledge them here at the midway point as well as the end of this show as we are at the midway point this second. And with these comments that we have, guys, let's go ahead and start it off with our pal is back, Ike. His name is Ike Doesn't Give a Fuck, and he is back. And with that, when he first appeared, I had to even make a little clip for him, and this is what it is. So this is your intro, Ike. Ike doesn't give a fuck. 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 Just like a Disturbed song, that's how I felt with the FOK. So there you go, Ike. You have made it into our show. With the next comment that we have here, we have Melvin shows up with "What's up, D. Willie and Joseph," and then says, "Yo, Antonio." Well, welcome back there, Melvin. We appreciate your continued support as well there, brother. Joseph with the fire background. Definitely with that. And Antonio's over there saying this.
Would you please shut the hell up?
Absolutely, Chris Jericho.
No football up there. It can't be that great.
What's funny is football's actually off the screen. You can't see it.
Joey!
Move it. Have to move it.
Well, maybe by the next episode, Joe will have a little bit of football in here, memorial of Antonio's episode here on episode 70. Well, I'll go ahead and call that.
I'll have to move my Brent Pry signed football. It'll have to go over here somewhere.
Get Antonio to sign the football and move it in the damn camera. Come on, Joey. Come on. Give our man some love here. Like, come on. I'm just kidding. Frogs will beat Bulldogs, says Rick. You know what, guys? How do you feel about this? Do you think TCU wins tonight against Georgia? Are you in or out on this, Joey?
Oh, man. Okay, so for the record, I want TCU to win really, really bad because I always love a good underdog, but I just don't think that they're going to be able to do it. I think Georgia's defense is just too stout. Like there's no way. I mean, they would have to get like some non-offensive touchdowns, like however that ends up being, like whether it's a pick six, fumble recovery taken back, or even like a punt return or a kickoff taken back. Because that defense, there's no way that they score on a consistent basis off of that defense. They need some other stuff to happen.
What do you think about that, Antonio? You agree? Are you out on this? You think the Bulldogs win this one, or you think TCU upsets?
Nah, Bulldogs win. I think it's just like Michigan, the Michigan game. Like 14 points came off of Michigan's malfunctions, mistakes. In order for them to beat Georgia, I'm thinking, Ben is going to have to throw 4 pick sixes for them to stay in this game. I just don't see TCU play. They shocked me last week, but there's no way I see them beating Georgia.
Well, Rick, you and I are in this alone, brother. I'm in. The prediction earlier today, and I probably will be wrong about this. They'll probably win by a little bit less, but I made the prediction of 53-42 TCU tonight for the national championship. It's going to be a high-scoring game. Max Duggan is going to light it up on a national stage. Watch out. I'm not putting money on this, by the way, but that's my prediction.
I would not either if only Yossi. I didn't see them. I gave TCU 17 against Michigan. And really, they got that over by 7 if you take away their pick sixes. But 55 on Georgia? No, I don't know. No, I'll be generous this week and cap them off with maybe 28.
Hey, man, I said 53 and 55. You got to give me some love. All right, so 53, now 55, 53-42. That's my final score. I even said I'm probably wrong, but I love high-scoring contests, and I'm hoping that they shred the Georgia Bulldogs defense that they will not be able to shred because they're undefeated the past 2 seasons leading up to this point for a reason. So I'm just saying, I'm just a dreamer. Like, you love Hollywood. That's my Hollywood aspect here on the show. So thank you to my man Rick for coming here with the prediction. We'll see what happens as the kickoff is starting right about now. We'll see that here shortly. Primetime Buffaloes, Rick says, followed by Deion's personality, care for the youth, and desire to win will make Colorado a powerhouse quickly. I like that take. Really do like that, Corey. Thank you for being here and watching during the show. I appreciate you as well, brother. Melvin Turismo says Primetime will be a national champion coach in Colorado. And I definitely have to agree with that. And I think Deion will even get to that point and then say this.
I'll be back.
He's not going anywhere anytime soon. He's got kids on the team. He's going to be there for a while.
I will say this much. I think he'll be a national champion, but I don't think it'll be at Colorado. You think how quickly he left Jackson State? I feel like he might go to a school that has a little bit more resources before he gets a national championship. They'll be a perennial powerhouse, but he might go somewhere else before he gets his natty.
You think he's going to leave like a lot sooner than he left Jackson State? That's like somebody getting into your face and saying this.
I don't think he'll leave sooner than when he left Jackson State, but I don't think he's getting a national championship at Colorado. He'll probably go 5 to 10 years at Colorado and then dip and go somewhere else.
Joey, Sandra Brown said it best.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Absolutely.
What resources you think Primetime doesn't have compared to the Alabamas and the Auburn,
facilities,
Florida States,
the facilities, yeah.
Come on now, Colorado's facilities is competing with the D1s, but guess what? The facilities aren't the number one thing that's going to get you to the next level. They're not the number one thing that's going to help you win. He said, "Hey, listen." Even at Jackson State, he said they asked if he was ready to play Alabama. He said give him 2 more years so he can get some bigger up front guys. He's at Colorado now. pretty sure the state of Colorado, they produce them big upfront guys. Prime
Yeah.
time is going to get those elite outside receivers and running backs and going to put a defense together to go with the front that he needs, that he already has now, just stepping into that position. So I think Prime himself is just as a good a resource as the name Alabama, as the name Georgia, and as you can see, his recruiting process, it's working. And that's all it's really going to take. So I'll see him.
So then I rebuttal this. Do you think that Colorado becomes the next Georgia, Alabama, et cetera, as like a consistently winning national championships over and over and over again?
Under Prime time? Yes, I can see that happening. I'm not going to give you a timeline, but I can see that happening.
If it doesn't happen, somebody's going to point and So I hope it happens, man. Like he's got a lot of the top recruits that he's already reeled in, and we're not even fully into the offseason yet. There's still a national championship left to play, and he's still doing recruiting. So he's great for marketing. It's going to be great to see how things pan out for that team. But with that, let's go ahead and take it to the next one. If Breece Hall stayed healthy, he would have been taken Offensive Rookie of the Year. How do you guys feel about that one?
I don't know. Just because the way I think Breece Hall, he's a dog, but just how their season, started to slope, I don't think, a one-man show was going to turn that boat around to whatever happened in that locker room. And but he would have had a great season for sure. But him taking Offensive Rookie of the Year, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with Antonio. I just think they had too many injuries and too much. I don't know what it was that caused that slope, whether it was off the field antics or whatever was going on in that locker room or however it happened. But when you mix that with all the injuries that they had, I don't think he's winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I
gotta side with both of these guys here and say this.
Hell to the no, no. Hell no, to the no.
Bishop Bullwinkle, my guy, you said it best. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Corey. You've been right with everything else, but with that one, I got to agree with my guys here. Rick says, who said Harbaugh is available?
Ironically, everyone except for Jim Harbaugh, who refuses to acknowledge that he is. It's so funny because the Denver Broncos released a press statement saying that he interviewed with them. The Panthers said that he interviewed with them. So it was, and then Michigan has said that he has interviewed with other places. And then Jim Harbaugh has said, no, I'm not interviewing anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And I think that's the funniest thing ever.
we should be used to it by now. The legit source is not going to come out and say anything. It's everybody else around him. So
he's going to wait till after the national championship or after the Super Bowl to announce it or whatever he's doing. But Rick, no, you got a point. But just like Joey said, pretty much everybody else has reported it, but Jim Harbaugh himself. And I feel like after what he was able to do in San Francisco, he deserves another chance at the NFL. Harbaugh definitely is not the best coach available, nowhere near it. Yeah, I mean, we definitely agree with you on that, Corey. That's why we were definitely agreeing with you during our take with that with round 3. Ike comes back with Olave has balled out. Give me a yes, and I will do that, Ike. Absolutely, my man. I'm with you. So Corey Mann says, I want to see the younger or long-term coordinators get an opportunity. Eric Bieniemy still not getting a coaching job is insane to me. And that's something I was touching up during that topic as well, Corey. I feel like maybe it's not the teams passing over on Eric Bieniemy. It's Eric Bieniemy passing over on the teams during the interview process because he may feel like he has a better opportunity to inherit the Chiefs than to go start a whole new process somewhere else. He can stick within an organization that he's already helped build to the powerhouse of what it is and go ahead and continue that powerhouse, knowing how it's already structured, keep it within that, maybe tweak a few things. But I think that's what he's waiting for. What do you guys think?
I think he should have been signed to New Orleans last season.
Even better than what they had now, yeah, because Sean Payton's absence is felt there.
Man, respectfully, DA just, I don't know, man, destroyed this season. Like this is like a wasted year, in my opinion, as a Saints fan, just from the talent we had and what exposure we definitely should have brought. He should have been our selection for sure. But I mean, he could be. I think it's a better situation for him, just sitting back, riding the wave until Andy Reid, departs and then take over, because I think that's the best situation for him. He's basically, he's calling the plays. He's running the offense. He knows the offensive weapons. It'd be smart if that's what he's doing.
Absolutely. I agree with that as well. And, Corey, we got to give a shout out to him as well. If you guys like video gaming and stuff like that, like seeing other clips of other games that somebody else streams, check out Greatness Gaming. Corey, man, throws up the clips of his games with Madden and Call of Duty and stuff like that. Definitely check that stuff out if you get a chance on Twitch. Not a dirty saint on the show, Drew. Rise up. Yeah, absolutely, man. I feel you.
Really?
Uh-oh. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady finished after first round this year. Do you think that he's going to get past the first round? Do you think he's going to win on Monday night, guys?
He's playing what, the Cowboys, right?
Oh yeah, look at how they got embarrassed yesterday.
Yeah, I don't. If the Cowboys go out and play like they did against the Commies, he'll get past the first round.
Come on, Antonio, join this bandwagon.
Hey man, I got my money on the Bucks.
Just like my guys here, you do not bet against Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II. I'm in as well.
You can't bet against Brady, but also I would bet against Brady if I saw a different Dallas team yesterday. And, at this time, this is where you're supposed to be playing your best football. And the situation that Dallas went in, they were nowhere close to their best football. So, another key thing to have is you want momentum rolling into the playoffs. They're going in with zero momentum now. I mean, the only thing they're riding off is probably proving doubters wrong and not letting their fans down. But as far as consistency or scheme momentum, I just don't see it. And Tampa Bay, they've been roller coaster all season, but they've been on the better end going into the playoffs. So plus they got Brady, so they're already ahead.
Anything when you mention the name Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II, you can't bet against him. He is the greatest of all time. And I have to save that clip because if I keep saying it like that, I'm going to keel over and die on my show. So I have to keep it legitimate on the show. That's why I did it a few times, found the best one, recorded it. Clipped it out, and here we are. So Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II, keep me alive. Go ahead and win that first round. But with that being said, guys, the next comment that we have here, Ike says the Sports Senseis Unleashed promo is fire. Thank you, Ike. I appreciate that. Greg Murray is in the house. What's up there, Greg? Says Georgia is going to make a statement to Alabama. I know they playing TCU. Okay, well, we'll see that. We got two guys here that agree with that, thinking that Georgia's going to beat TCU. I definitely disagree and have TCU winning this game. Corey Mann says Breece Hall got hurt. That's what happened. Look it up, fellas. I mean, I'm not disagreeing. But Chris Olave got hurt, missed 2 games, is only 61 yards away from the top of the rookie receiving list. So I got to give it to him. Just like Antonio agrees, our guy Joey disagrees, but that was the fun of that segment. And then Corey says, appreciate the shout out. Yeah, man, the clips that you have on Greatness Gaming, I love it. It makes me inspired to get back into gaming, but this show takes a lot of my time along with the other projects that I have going on. And then life, you got to have a work-life balance too, man, because if not, again, like the Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II thing, I could keel over. So, I mean, this is just not going to be a good situation. But, guys, thank you all for the comments here at the midway point of the show. Keep them coming, and we'll acknowledge them here at the end. But we got to take this into the next round and see what we got in store for round 4.
Round 4.
And guys, here with round 4, this is what I like to call the By the Numbers segment. And with this being episode 70, Let's go ahead and take this into this one and say Leon Gray is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 70 in all of sports history. Let's go ahead and start this one with you, Antonio. How do you feel about this one? Do you agree with the statement? Are you in or are you out on this one?
I disagree. I'm out, man. I got my money on the man Sam Huff. You know, legendary linebacker, came out of West Virginia. He's probably the greatest to wear the number 70. I mean, you go back, you look at his what he did over, was it 8 to 10 years in the league, college football Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer. As a linebacker, this man had 30 interceptions as a linebacker in the NFL. Yeah, the game is different today than it was back then, but still, we're talking about a professional level of sports. That is incredible for somebody to do. Plus, being a linebacker wearing 70, where you ever see that? But my definitely the best 70 all time be Sam Huff.
That's a great take with that, man. And how do you feel about that, Joey? Do you agree with him? Are you out on this, or do you agree that Leon Gray is the greatest to wear 70?
I'm out. But I actually have a different player. I'm going to go with Rayfield Wright, offensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys. Played his entire career for the Dallas Cowboys. Was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006. Played on 5 NFC championship teams that advanced to the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl twice in 71 and 77, and is on the 1970s All-Decade team for the NFL. I'm going to have to go with him.
Interesting take with that, and a very good selection with that, Joey. And actually, between the two that you guys picked, I was back and forth on it. But before I acknowledge who it was, I agree I'm out on this as well. So, guys, it was a toss-up for me between the two that they mentioned, between Sam Huff and Rayfield Wright. And with me being a fan of the formerly known as REDSKINS, now known as the Commies, that I like to call them, Commanders, Washington Team of Football, hashtag WTF, whatever you want to call them, okay? Look at the plate behind me, okay? It says D. Willie on it. Look at the emblem beside it. You can just kind of blur it out because of how far away it is, but it is formerly known as the REDSKINS. Back to subject. That's why it's tough. Sam Huff was a part of that team. He's an NFL champion in 1956 with the New York Football Giants. But, and it pains me, it absolutely pains me to have to acknowledge this, why I'm getting upset with Joey here with this. Getting upset because, one, he wore a Patriots shirt on my show, knowing they're 8-9 with a losing record on this show today for episode 70. How dare you bring that juju into this house? I'm just kidding. But two, back to this, Rayfield Wright, I have to give it to him. 2-time Super Bowl champion with the accolades that he has, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, a 6-time Pro Bowler, part of the NFL 1970s All-Decade team, as he mentioned, and Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor, as he mentioned as well. Played 166 games, had 4 fumble recoveries. Sam Huff was big to the NFL, okay? He had 168 games that he played, 2 more games than the previously mentioned player, 30 interceptions, 5 touchdowns, and 17 fumbles recovered. That's a lot, and he is an NFL champion. But when I look at his accolades in comparison to Rayfield Wright, even though he has more numbers, it was a different game, and things were a little bit easier to get those numbers that Sam Huff had during that time frame. When you're one of like the top 10 players of the league, things were a little bit more equalized during the time that Wright came around. So I have to give it to him. Great pick with that, Antonio, because me as a fan of Washington, I wanted to give it to you. But me, like statistic-wise and historian-wise, I felt like it would have been a disservice to Rayfield Wright to not give it to him for what he did at the number 70 position. And number, my bad.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, it makes sense, too, because, I mean, you think you go off accolades. Yeah, you got one more Super Bowl. You got one more Pro Bowl. What did you say? He had 5. He's 5 first-team All-Pro.
Mm-hmm.
5, so he got 3 more first-team All-Pros than him. So, I mean, you know, getting that info on him.
6. He had 6. He had 4 more.
6.
So, I mean,
so 4 more. So, I mean, even better. So, definitely go off the accolades route for sure. Like, definitely. He both of them worthy, but for sure.
I really wanted to give it to Sam Huff, though. I mean, because, you know, like I said, fan of the team and what he did throughout his career. Definitely was a big pillar for the game of NFL and helped keep it afloat during times where it could have gone either way. It could have gone bankrupt during the time that Sam Fuff played. So with the AFL and everything, and then in the expansion, everything worked out during the Sam Huff and Rayfield Wright era. So it worked out great for football. And guys, speaking of that with football, we've gone through 4 rounds so far on this show. Let's go ahead and take it into the final round and see what we got left here for the final round. Talk a little bit more college football here.
Final round.
And guys, here with the final round, the college football expansion, the college football playoff expansion to 12 teams proves that more teams like TCU can compete for a national title. We'll start this one with Joey. How do you feel about this one, man? Do you agree with this one? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in.
Joey's in.
So I've talked about this at length on this podcast before. I am in love with the expansion to 12 teams. It's going to prove to be, in my opinion, more like March Madness. There's always that one Cinderella story that comes out of nowhere and upsets a major team that should win a game. They should win that game, and they get an upset, and they continue to move through what's going on. And the added advantage of doing what the NCAA is doing with the transfer portal, especially, I mean, you can get really good really quickly, and when you have teams that can go out and get the players that they need, you're going to get a lot more schools being competitive pretty quickly. You're going to get the best players that you can on, teams, and you're going to get a significantly higher level of competition because the best players are going to play. They're not going to sit on a bench because they are sitting with a red shirt. They're going to play. TCU, for example, has 14 transfers in the 2022 class, 24 on their current roster. That's how a first-year head coach is able to be in the national championship game. I think the college football playoff expansion is going to be a great thing for college football.
How do you feel about this, Antonio? Do you agree with this? Are you in or are you out?
I agree. I'm in. And Joey, everything you said is right, but I just think, it creates more opportunity for teams that are deserving to get in. And one thing that I have to change first is how they, weight what team gets it, how they're ranking, because you have 11-2 teams that are ranked under a team that's could be 9-3 or 10-1. So I think that's an issue that needs to get fixed first, but you definitely open up the windows for a lot more upsets, expanding that. And come on, as anybody playing collegiate sports, the things you have to go through over the course of a whole season, it's these kids deserve it to have, just more than your top 4, because you can have your number 1 team win every game except for the last game of the season, and boom, they dropped out of the poll. So to make it fair, to make it make sense is good. And plus, there's always going to be an upset somewhere because it's football. You're going to have injuries. So every team's not going to have a backup who's just as good as the starter. Or, in schemes can turn Alabama into, HBCU as people want to see it compared to SEC. So I think it's going to be great for college football. I think it's going to be great for every school that's ranked in that top 25, because now not only do all 25 schools, not all 25 schools are playing to make the top 4, because a lot of them know their programs can't compete up with the top 10. So, but now you have all these programs competing for 12. It makes it more promising for even somebody who's coming in outside ranked. So I think it's going to be really great. It's going to be really exciting, and college football is going to have a big change coming.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how things pan out with that, and I definitely agree with him. This is unanimous. I'm in on this as well. It's just sad that we got to wait till 2024 to see it. It's going to be 2 years until we actually see it. The next year we have the Final Four situation again, but it does give other teams more deserving of an opportunity, like Antonio was saying, and bits and pieces of what Joey was saying. I mean, collaboratively, everything that we're all saying is somewhat familiar with our final answer. And with that being said, I've got to look at teams like Colorado that we were just talking about, that they're going to have chances to get in. Other HBCU, like actual HBCU teams, might have a chance to actually get further along in the playoff format if they play like Jackson State did this past year. Might get opportunities to play within this. When you look at like teams like TCU making the Final Four this year, it just depends on the productivity of these teams and what you can get out of them as a head coach, the training staff. There's a lot more that goes into it than just playing the game, which Antonio can definitely tell you about. I mean, it's not just showing up on the field and playing. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. So if everything from the office to the production on the field is top notch and everybody's clicking on all cylinders and on the right page, you're going to get great production out of it. And Deion did that with Jackson State. He has a very good opportunity to do that with Colorado, but also set a really great path for other former players, no matter who they are, because you got Ed Reed that's just got an opportunity to be a head football coach, and you got other players as well. Like, you know, even though the Jeff Saturday situation was a debacle with him going to the Indianapolis, he still got an opportunity as a coach by, even though Jim Irsay might not be of sound mind in certain decisions, he made a decision to go with a former player based on potentially seeing what other former players are doing, whether it's the college or pro level.
That's true. And I think that's what Indianapolis' best thing. The GM and probably owners I think they may have spoke with some players on the team and, you know, took opinions, because at the end of the day, it's how the players in that locker room respond to that coach. And anybody who, you know, watches football know the person Jeff Saturday was on the field, off the field, the center, like the quarterback he played center for, I mean, speaks for itself. So his presence and his knowledge and just leadership abilities is definitely probably what led Indianapolis to do that, just to give him an opportunity. So, you know, that's just pinpoint for sure.
I really wanted them to get that win yesterday too, man. Like, that's, you know, even though I'm kind of happy for Lovey, like I wanted to see, like, you know, Jeff Saturday get that win again. Like, you know, because it's been a tough year for him coming in and doing what he did, but, you know,
Right.
we know he's not coming back next year. Like with what happened, I just wanted to see him go out on a good note, kind of like how Lovey did. But Lovey had a tough year too. I mean, I guess if anybody was going to win, Lovey had less wins throughout the season, so got to give it to him too.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel, Joey?
I was just gonna say, Antonio, what do you feel like, or how do you feel about, like, do you think maybe West Virginia, your alma mater, makes a run at the CFP?
Listen, I love WVU, man, but, you know, I am going to say they my alma mater. They one of them, you know, but, you know, it's crazy. I'll tell you a quick story about this. I was never a WVU fan until they actually like showed interest. But I was LSU, everything, all thing, hated West Virginia, all that. But, you know, they put opportunity on the table, so that's fine. So, but as far as them making a run, man, I don't know, man. I have high hopes for them every year, but I don't know. We get some great recruits there, and we just had a coaching change in the recent years, and it's just not panning out, man. So I don't know what the answer is for us there, but, you know, they still get my support. You know, I'm just gonna keep it honest. I ain't gonna be biased and be like, oh yeah, we're good. Nah, man. Hey, we need some work. We need some work up there in Morgantown, but I think eventually they'll get it.
That's definitely a good question to ask there, Joey. And I know we definitely got some other ones here in the chat to go ahead and get here too in a second. We'll touch a few more things before we get on out of here. But with that being said, before we go to the next segment of this show, I'm going to give a little shout out to a project we got coming here real soon.
LegacyMaker, the All Sports Network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Acknowledge me. You should know your role and shut your mouth!
That's right, you guys. Coming soon, the Kayfabe Express coming to LegacyMaker Sports, produced by SIRTOBA Media. Coming here real soon. I'll have a date announcement for you next week. Absolutely excited for this show here for the Kayfabe Express. Talk some professional wrestling with professional wrestlers. Thank you all again for your patience with this show, as I've been advertising it for quite some time, as Joey knows. But with that being said, we've gone through 5 great rounds on this show. We got some more comments from the fans to acknowledge. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that. But before we do that, we got to acknowledge one more thing, and that is the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
That's right. Both of these guys are now locked in the Vault of Fame here. Antonio Penn, now locked in the vault as a one-time Vault of Fame inductee with episode 70. Thank you again, sir, for being here on this episode. We've got Joey Raymond as well, is now an 11-time Vault of Fame inductee. Let's go ahead and show Joseph in excitement in his background. 11-time Vault of Fame inductee on episode 70. Let's go ahead and show the leaderboard of this as well. Rob Johnson, who will be here tomorrow, has only got a 1-episode lead on Joey Raymond here. 12-11. Darrell Owens, who was here last Saturday, now jumps up to the 3rd place spot, tied with 4 episodes apiece with James Brown. And you got Brian H. Waters, Cody Stewart, Corey Mann, Michael Bish, and P. Alexander Wiley in the 4th place spot, tied with 3 apiece. And 12 panelists tied with 2. Up next, again, you can check out episode 71 tomorrow at 7:05 p.m. Eastern here on the In or Out Sports Debate for LegacyMaker Sports Network. Episode 72 is this Sunday, 8:05 p.m. Eastern. On January 15th, the Snowman, Brian Snow, is back for episode 72. And again, you can check these out on LegacyMaker Sports Network's handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and the latest on LegacyMakerSports.com. The In or Out Sports Debate is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as the audio platforms on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, and you can download them individually on iTunes. SIRTOBA Media is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and coming soon to YouTube. You can check out the latest on SIRTOBA.com. Previously announced earlier, the Sports Senseis Unleashed Mondays at 1:05 p.m. Eastern with that promo that we had announced. You can definitely check that out then. And if you want to throw a little tippy here with that stoic face on the $10 bill, DWilly87, cash.app/DWilly87, Cash App donations accepted if you would like to apply. Other than that, again, we are here for episode 70. Antonio Penn is back with Joey Raymond for this very special edition here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And guys, we've gone through all the rounds. We've gone through everything except for the fans' comments. Let's go ahead and see what they got to say on our way on out the door here. In the comments from the fans, guys, for the Mayhem culmination, we've got these comments here. Ike's prediction, TCU loses 48-17. Wow. You think it's that bad, guys? Y'all are nodding over there in the background. You think it's that bad with your prediction, Georgia beating TCU that bad?
Yeah, I know the game.
Holy shnikes, Ike, I got to say this.
Damn!
Get back to Friday. And then, you know what? Charles Barkley's coming in with this.
That's terrible.
While Ike is staring us right in our eyes, right into his phone he's probably watching on, and saying this.
You can't handle the truth.
Sorry, Ike. I hope it's not 48-17.
Not to be the bearer of bad news, Drew, but they kind of already down 10-0.
Oh, you are the bearer of bad news, Joseph. Come on now.
I tried to tell him. I tried to help him. I tried to warn him.
Nah, you can't convince Drew. Once he's made up his mind, he's made up his mind.
Hey, I'll go down swinging. I already said earlier my prediction was probably wrong, but hey, it could happen. Sorry, Drew, says Ike. Well, at least you apologize for your assistance there, Ike. Expansion works. So Rick definitely agrees with our take for the expansion there for the last round. Can I get a hell no, says Melvin. Yeah, I guess you can have a hell no.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, to the no, no.
Rest in peace, one Bishop Bullwinkle, as you are still the man. With that being said, TCU wins, says Melvin. Well, according to Joseph, the bearer of bad news, TCU is not going to win as they're down by 10. And Antonio's agreeing with him as he's shaking his head. So I'm still standing tall over here, sinking in probably some quicksand. But hey, I'm still trying. So
I mean, it's only the first quarter. There's still so much football left. So, like, who knows? But it's not going to happen.
That's what I'm talking about. Tonight it will happen, saying TCU will win.
Before the game started.
Rick, I agree with you. No, this was recent. This comment was at 7:56, so it was within the past 15 minutes. So with that, Rick's saying that, and you guys are looking at Rick and saying this.
You know, liar.
I'm sorry, Rick, but we're standing tall, but people might be doing this at us right now. Sorry, bro. Sorry, but I'm trying out here in these streets. Ike says, get out of here with that Ike Mike. Okay. That's his name is Ike Mike, I guess. He's signed, stamped, and delivered. How do you guys feel about wild card next weekend? Wild card round next weekend in NFL. It's a good question there, Melvin.
I feel like I'm going to be really, really lazy eating a bunch of junk food that is absolutely horrible for me and watching football all weekend.
Quick take, though. Seahawks 49ers, who wins, Joey?
I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Antonio?
49ers.
Quick take. Chargers or Jaguars?
Chargers.
Joey?
I feel like this is going to be where we see the upset. I feel like the Jags they've got a lot of momentum going. I feel like they might pull the upset.
I agree with that. I'll take Jaguars and I'll take the 49ers the first one. The next one, Dolphins and Bills. What do you think, Joey?
Bills.
What do you think, Antonio?
Bills going all the way, man.
Absolutely. It's unanimous. I'm taking Bills because of how the Dolphins like that was one of the most embarrassing games of the year, the way they won that game yesterday.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Guys. That was horrible. So, yeah, of course, Bills are going to slaughter the Dolphins next Sunday at 1 o'clock. Giants and Vikings, how do you feel about that, Joey?
I feel like barely, very barely. Like maybe we talking field goal, but I feel like the Vikings pull it out.
Okay, what do you think, Antonio?
I got the Giants, man, just because as great of a season as the Vikings have had this year, there's not one game where anyone can say which Vikings team is going to show up. They have everything they need to pull it out. But me, I'm going to go with the Giants because the Giants have played consistent. Vikings, you haven't seen the Giants be down 33 points and have to come back and win a game. Nowhere close to it. Vikings have done it too many times. They've been down big. And right now in playoff football, if that team shows up, I just don't have that much hope in them to get past the Giants.
In 3 of the 4 Vikings losses, that's why I'm taking the Giants. But I'm taking the Giants and agreeing with Antonio for this. And 3 of the Vikings' 4 losses, you lost to the who? You lost to the Broncos. That's one. You lost to the Broncos. Okay? Come on, guys. And then you also, hang on, the other one, the latest one. The Packers. You lost to the Packers 41-17, and then you didn't make it to the dance. That's the worst one of them all. 41-17. You didn't even make it to the dance. You are going to get stumped by the Giants, who have been fighting and fighting and fighting to reclaim their greatness from what they had 10 years ago. So I got to give it to them. 2 tournaments, says Rick. But back before we get that, I want to acknowledge 2 more things with that when it comes to the wild card round before we roll out of here. Ravens and Bengals. Joey.
Bengals.
How you feel about that, Antonio? You agree?
Definitely going Bengals, man. And they say it's tough to beat the same team twice, but right now with the injuries the Ravens are dealing with, man, and the injuries, they got players coming back. But even if Lamar plays, it'll be a closer game but I still see the Bengals are in a hell of a much healthy state than the Ravens are right now, and they're rolling. So the Bengals are there.
I absolutely agree. I think a month is too long for Lamar to be gone. I would have liked to see him have another game under his belt before this one, just to like get him back in the groove. Like, I don't know if y'all have like, shoot, man, I go out of work for the weekend and I come back and I forget what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, you know, like it's just one of those things. You go a month without doing something, like it's going to take some time to adjust to get back into the groove of what you're supposed to be doing. And I just don't feel like I mean, a month and then immediately have to go play a playoff game. I just don't think Lamar's going to be able to come back that quickly.
Yeah, this is unanimous. I believe the same thing. Bengals are the AFC defending champs for a reason. Like, will they get back to that situation and get back to the Super Bowl this year? You know, time will tell. I don't think so with the other AFC teams that we have in the league, with Buffalo and Kansas City are the top two spots for a reason as well for this year. So Bengals struggle to get to this point. And they did get here, but both them and the Ravens were struggling up until the very last part of the year. And then we had the game get suspended that ultimately made the decisions for what we're going to see if it gets later in the playoffs and these teams win and we have neutral locations for these teams playing for an actual like home game, what it should have been. But because we got neutral locations because of what happened last week, the NFL made the right call by stopping the game with what happened with DeMar Hamlin. I'm not contesting that. But the situation itself is going to throw some curveballs into this playoff situation coming up soon. And that game might have some severe impact on who goes forward into these final games of the season.
Right.
So
Agreed.
This would be interesting to see how that goes. Rick comes back with 2 tournaments, Power 5 tourney and non-Power 5 tourney. I'm not sure if we're playing the Powerball or the Mega Millions here, Rick. So please in the comments at some point, and I'll check it out once the show is over. But with that being said, we've gotten through all the comments here for the Medial and Mayhem culmination as well. You guys, thank you as always for being active in the chats. We greatly appreciate that. It helps make this thing even more fun than what it already was, even though it was definitely greatness at hand. But guys, we've gone through 5 rounds. The comments, we've only got a couple more things left, and that is acknowledging the final word. Joseph, you now as an 11-time Vault of Fame inductee, you are a legend amongst the ranks of this show. Don't let that inflate your head too much there, bro. But I'm just telling you, like you are. So with that, I'm going to let you lead the way here. Tell us what is on your mind here for the final word.
Well, for starters, TCU just scored, so it's 7-10. So no, I first of all, I want to thank Antonio for jumping on. It's been so much fun to be able to talk to you. It's been a minute, and we're gonna have to change that a little bit. But no, I feel like everything that we talked about today is definitely something that I could sit and talk for even longer about. Especially the college football stuff, the playoff expansion to 12 teams. Personally, I think it should be more like 18, or even if you did like 24 and like we did a whole like March Madness thing with football, that would be a ton of fun. And so I just really enjoyed having this conversation. It's been a lot of fun, but I hope TCU pulls the upset, even though I don't think they're going to be able to.
Definitely great final take with that there, Joey. What do you guys say there, Antonio? Let's go ahead and take this to you for the final word.
Hey, man, ain't got much to say, man. Just appreciate y'all for having me for sure. Joey, thanks for reaching out. Listen, man, I've done so many interviews, like with so many other shows and things, but this is my first podcast. So definitely appreciate it for, taking that off the list. Hopefully it's not my last. So, I look forward to keeping track of your show and hopefully being on the show again. And then, maybe I'll open the doors to, hopping into this podcast appearances and things. But definitely, just like Joey said, we can go all day with all these topics, any type of sport topic, no matter arena, fields, octagons, you name it. But it's definitely been a pleasure to be a part of this show and have these discussions with y'all.
Well, thank you both there for both of your takes. And with that being said, Antonio, thank you again for your appreciation. Thank you for making the time to be here. I mean, I know with you training and the things that are going on with you being a professional athlete, you got a lot going on in your life too. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to be here with us on Monday evening. A huge shout out to Joey here as well, not just for writing the episodes and, writing the topics for this episode, but for getting Antonio to be a part of this episode 70 here with us. It means a lot to me, means a lot to the fans, as we've had a consistent about 10 people watching it throughout the episode and then more. And, as we're syndicated afterwards, the numbers will grow too. And, a lot of that has to do with the energy you guys brought to this show. The clout, also of Antonio definitely helps a little bit too. But the bigness part of this has been one of the most fun trio episodes that I can remember in a while. From the knowledge that you guys brought, kept up with me, and Kyle Nash is one that has historically said this on episode 50. There's not many people that can keep up with him, but then he said historically, it doesn't seem like there's not many people that can keep up with me. So you guys stayed afloat with me during this whole thing. Stone Cold could pop up here all he wants to.
What?
And I can say things.
What?
I'm telling you, my guys kept up with.
What?
Sammy's getting mad.
Say what again? Say what again?
Sorry, Sammy. I don't want my boss to come up to my face and say,
You're fired.
Because sometimes they just aren't.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
They definitely were who we thought they were when they showed up to the show tonight. So thank you guys for showing up and doing the things that you did, because I hope after this show you do one of these renditions.
It's not unusual to be lonely. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging,
because that dance never gets old. And if somebody at a local gas station comes up to you and does this, just say hello, because they might just need it a little bit more than you do. So, guys, that's my final word here on episode 70. Thank you for being here and enjoying the fun with me as we send it on out the door. It has been a blast. It's been a blast to get to know you a little bit here, Antonio. And again, to what you were saying, I look forward to having you on here again at some point, hopefully this year. And hopefully you stay positive. You keep working there, sir. You will make your dreams come true. I can see it, because I do not want to be on the other side of one of those hits that you've been giving in those highlights. So shout out to you for doing that. And it's definitely
good.
You definitely are not sitting behind a podium saying this.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We talking about practice, man. We talking about practice. We talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We talking about practice, man. When you come in the arena and you see me play, don't you?
absolutely.
You see me give everything I got, right?
Absolutely.
But we talking about practice right now.
You didn't come up in here and say that noise, so hats off to you. Thank you again for all the knowledge you came up in here with. Joey, as always, pleasure being here with you too, my man. With that, we only have one thing left to do, guys, and that is look at one badass outro from my man, Joey Raymond, with the badass background. And our new guy here, Antonio Penn. I am Drew Willingham. Everybody stay safe out there in these streets.